Welcome back, college football and black and gold fans, to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, the only channel where we examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape. In other words, we got you covered for all things college football and more. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks, and welcome back to the channel. And today is my Rose Bowl reaction and recap episode. And what a Rose Bowl we witnessed on New Year's Day between number 1 Michigan and number 4 Alabama inside the cathedral of all cathedrals, on the holiest of all holy grounds when it comes down to our sport out there in Pasadena. And it was great. Great to see this game, how it lived up to all of the hype, to the advertising, and it delivered and gave us everything we wanted. And you know what? It's not that big of a surprise. I mean, does not college football just deliver 10 times out of 10? It does. And what a treat and what an absolute blessing that we were able to see unfold on the gridiron inside the Rose Bowl. And it's great to be back here with you. Happy New Year to you and yours. If this is your first time joining me on the channel, welcome. If you are a return visitor, welcome. And thank you for all you've done for the channel. I mean, 2023, the current college football season, which is wrapping up, has been an absolute success for the channel. Everything is trending in the right direction. Views, likes, rates, shares, subscriptions, everything is going the way for the channel. But I need your help. I want to get more college football fans just like you involved. So please spread the word. Tell your fellow college football fans, coworkers, family members, everybody to check me out here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. I've got a goal. I want to have 300 subscribers by the time the national championship game ends on Monday night. Now, other thing I want to go ahead and say, give me about 25 minutes and I'll wrap this up, is I always encourage and welcome and ask for your comments and your participation. So please get involved. Comment below to anything that I might present or any of my statements, my insight, my opinion, analysis. Exercise your voice as a college football fan. Please get involved. I promise I will respond to each and every one of you via your comments individually sooner than later, because without you, none of this is possible. And I thank you for all you've done for the channel. So please comment, like, share, subscribe, click that button to get notifications about upcoming episodes. Now, that is a good lead-in for me, because a part of me was going to wait to say this at the end of the episode. A part of me was not going to mention it at all, but I've got to get this off my chest, off my shoulders, that when you comment, please let's keep it respectable and adult-like. Now, when it came down to it, for those of you who checked out my most recent episode, my Rose Bowl preview and prediction, which was a smashing success, thank you to all of you who viewed and got involved, that for the most part, I hate to call out a certain fan group, but I need to do it, okay? I did predict that Michigan would win this game, and I presented very, very concrete evidence, good reasons, and good statements for why I believed they were the best team or the better team in this matchup, and why I believed they would win. And that's okay. If you didn't agree with that, that is totally fine. You have the right to disagree with me or with anything anybody says, college football related or not. But it seems like, unfortunately, the art of disagreement has been lost by many, all right? I have no problem with anybody via the comments, excuse me, I got a little bit of a sore throat if you can't tell, that when you disagree with me, I am totally fine with that. I encourage it, All right, but then state your reasons why you disagree, because that is good banter. It keeps the positive conversation going, and that's the reason why I created this channel. This is a gathering spot and a safe haven for all fans of college football, and unfortunately, a good majority of the Alabama fans who responded to my last episode left those kind of comments that I am no longer going to respond to or really tolerate. Certain things like, you're clueless. Bless you, God bless you and God help you. You should just, they should, just go ahead and delete your channel. Don't quit your day job. You're a real genius. You're trash. You're stupid. You're idiotic. You're off base. Blah, 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 blah. And that would really be it. Okay, that's very childish. It's very immature. If you want to holler back at me, fine, but then explain why you disagree with me. Okay, that's because the thing is, and that's not all Alabama fans. I'm telling you right now, I had several who were very courteous and respectable who, obviously might have disagreed with my take on it, but they did it the proper way. So thank you to all of you. And I'm not one of those who lets a few sour apples ruin everyone, but there's some folks out there who would take that small number of people, and that would really, really misrepresent your fan base in general. Don't be those fans. If you're going to respond, do it correctly, okay? And all you Alabama fans who did respond correctly, thank you. All of you are welcome back here, but that's no longer going to be tolerated. Okay? And some Alabama fans who responded that way about basically you're stupid, in other words, some of them have taken it back and dialed it back and said, hey, you were right. Tip of the hat to you and congratulations to Michigan. So thank you. But I expect most of you probably will not do that. All right? And I don't really know why that is. I mean, it's okay to be passionate about your team, and that's what makes fandom beautiful. But I don't know if it was just something, it was disrespectful or blasphemy just for someone to really think that a non-SEC team could defeat Alabama, especially a team from the Big Ten, if that was just something that made me look like a complete whack job. All right? I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say. I could say a lot of other immature things, but I'm not going to do that. So please, just let's clean up those comments, all right? So how the Rose Bowl played out, what a classic. Michigan won in overtime, 27-20. They move on to the national championship game to face the Wisconsin Huskies, who were able to defeat Texas, the Longhorns, after the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, and I'll talk more about that bowl in another episode. So Michigan moves on, and what an instant classic we had. I mean, this game really could have gone several different ways at several different moments in this game. I mean, there were a lot of potential turning points that just maybe didn't work out or maybe weren't taken advantage of by that team that had a chance to maybe break it wide open or respond, make a stop. But it really kept us on the edge of our seats. I mean, it did. What a great game. As far as the stars of the game, when I look at both teams, let's start with Michigan, the stars of the game. I got to start with J.J. McCarthy. I mean, this quarterback who seems like he is probably going to go to the NFL, whether they win or lose the national championship game against Washington. His final numbers were 17 of 27, 3 big touchdown passes, but to 0 interceptions, and he did not put the ball on the ground at all via fumble, so took care of the ball. Overall QBR rating of 91.9, so basically 92%. Absolutely was the difference maker from an offensive standpoint in this game. The other stars from the Michigan squad, I got to give a big up and a big props and love to the Michigan defensive front seven. And I'll go ahead and expand on that as one of the keys to the game here next. But that Michigan front seven, it made things tough sledding all night, especially for quarterback of Miami, Jaylen Moore. Now, the stars for Alabama, I mean, I've got to give a shout out to running back Jace McClellan. 14 carries, ended up with 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chase, he did outrush Michigan's Blake Corum, who coming into the game definitely had a lot more accolades and attention as a superior running back. But Jace definitely outrushed him and outplayed Blake Corum via the running game. So he's one star that I picked for Alabama. And the other is a guy that has been a star the entire season, and he has been his entire career. I'm talking about stud field goal kicker Reichert. Oh my gosh, my throat. Excuse me, guys. But Will Reichert was 2 for 2 kicking field goals and 2 for 2 extra points. The guy is absolute money. He's a stud. He's automatic. He's got ice in his veins. And I thought if it came down to a field goal kicking game, Will Reichert absolutely gave Alabama the advantage if it was going to come down to a kicking contest. So those were the stars of this game in my mind. Now, the flip side of that, there's always going to be the non-stars, okay? And for the first non-star, it's a good lead-in talking about special teams with Will Reichert getting it done for Alabama. Because look at me, I'm a Hawkeye fan. I love special teams, all right? That the non-stars of the game has got to be the Michigan special teams unit in general. I mean, overall, they really, really put Michigan in a bad position. And ultimately, if Alabama would have won this game, a lot of fingers would have been pointed at that Michigan special teams unit. I mean, for the game, they had a muffed punt, halfway through the first quarter, which Alabama did cash in with the touchdown. They did miss an extra point, but it was via a bad snap. Just wanted to specify that. And also missed a field goal attempt as well. And then also a fumbled muffed punt inside the 5-yard line, but luckily for Michigan, they did recover that. So there were a lot of hold your breath moments when it came down to watching the Michigan special teams during the Rose Bowl. So that was my non-star for Michigan. Now my non-star, actually this would be stars as well because I put the entire unit of special teams for Michigan. The non-stars for Alabama, it's got to be their offensive line. I mean, I have never seen an Alabama offensive line look quite like this. Now, that's a surprise to some of us, all right? But going into this game, Alabama was one of the weaker offensive lines in the SEC. When you look at their stats, that had given up a good number of sacks this entire year, but I had never seen an Alabama O-line give up sacks like this. I mean, Jaylen Moore, especially in that first half, was under fire constantly. They did make some adjustments out of halftime, as the GOAT Nick Saban always does, and that was expected. But non-stars, I mean, they just really put Jaylen Moore in awful, awful difficult situations. The numbers for them, this is what they gave up. Or I guess you could look at it for what did the Michigan front seven register, which that was one of the keys to this game. Probably the biggest key. So these kind of go hand in hand. Non-star for the Alabama O-line, right into keys to victory, this is what the Michigan defensive front seven registered. They recorded 6 sacks on the night and 10 tackles for a loss. When on the flip side, I believe the Alabama defense registered 1 sack, I believe. Yep, 1 sack and 1 TFL. So those numbers blatantly one-sided, okay? And that's something that I mentioned also during my last episode, that this was the best defense that Alabama was going to face all season. And that did not go over well with a lot of folks, all right? I get it. Georgia is historically always, especially recently, they have a great defense, all right? But statistically, coming into the game, Michigan had a better defense, and we saw that in person with how it played out. I mean, they're the best defense in the nation, and they kind of flexed and showed that. All right. So some of you who thought I was, off my rocker or out of my tree for saying that, the proof was right there. Okay. Enough said. So yeah, that was really the key to the entire game for what I believed ended up leading to a Michigan victory. And the other thing that I mentioned as far as matchups via my last episode, my Rose Bowl preview and prediction episode, was that I just believed that the Michigan defense was going to be able to corral and contain Jalen Milroe for what he can do with his feet. Because the guy all year has been an absolute dynamic playmaker, especially with his feet, with how he can extend plays. He is dangerous when he gets outside the tackles and runs for 10, 20, 30 yards at a time. And then when you add that beautiful deep ball that he throws, I mean, the guy throws one of the best deep balls that I've ever seen. Okay, on target, the perfect amount of air on a rope. And that really comes down to when teams have not been able to corral him or keep him contained, they've put more guys up in the box on the line of scrimmage, and then having one-on-one defense, excuse me, in the backfield. And he has torched defenses and teams all year, but I did predict that Michigan was going to be able to contain him. And a lot of you folks believed I was, once again, crazy, clueless. He's a real genius. What's he been watching? And I get it. No team has been able to do that this year against Jalen Milroe, so I understand it. But that was the other main key to this game, is Jalen Milroe did rush for, I believe, 60 or 70 yards. Let me see real quick. Yep, rushing, it was Jalen Milroe did end up rushing for 63 yards, long of 18. So it's not like they absolutely shut him out and shut him down, but he was a non-factor with his legs. Michigan was able to accomplish that. And I said that they would be able to do that and still contain Alabama's wide receivers by stacking that box. And that was also, once again, not believed, but that's exactly how it played out. He was a non-factor running the ball, and down the field, the Michigan defensive backs were able to cover, for the most part, man on man. And that's the one thing that I really, really doubted about Jalen Milroe. I mean, hey, I love to see him in a Hawkeye uniform, especially after what we saw this season, the last 3 seasons, and especially what we saw on New Year's Day against Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. Trust me, I've got plenty to say about the Citrus Bowl between Iowa and Tennessee, but that's going to be a separate episode. That's what I really, really question. And I think Alabama fans kind of did before, but especially now. He still is the quarterback of your team next year. I mean, he has developed and made progress by leaps and bounds from early in the season to now. Don't give up on the guy. But he has not proven to anybody yet that if you make him one-dimensional, if you make him have to pass, he has not proven that he can beat anybody. And he hasn't, and he can't, I think, at this point. Now, granted, if you're playing a team that is lower talent than you, if you're playing Middle Tennessee, like you did this season, or Mercer, or Vanderbilt, Arkansas, okay, those teams you can get away with it, okay, or South Florida like you played, okay, you're going to be able to basically, he's going to be able to beat you through the air if they stack the box. But if you're playing a team of equal or better talent, He has not proven he can beat you through the air. And moving forward, he did nothing that's going to change my mind. All right? And that is the hot take and the truth, Bama fans. You need to just accept that. All right? So what a great game, though. I mean, it really played out. I mean, it really was a clean game. I mean, we had just a handful of penalties on each team. We ended up having the turnover battle was 1-1. So a very, very clean game. Really, really close as well via stats. One thing that did surprise me is Alabama was able to outrush Michigan, which that's really been Michigan's crutch and bread and butter all season, is running between the tackles with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. But for the most part, they really kept them in check. Blake Corum did rush for 83 yards and 1 touchdown, but Donovan Edwards really didn't factor in at all to this game. So a very, very good effort by Alabama on the defensive side, and I did believe that was going to be one of the keys to the game too. But Alabama, I'm not going to say that the defensive front seven. Excuse me, my throat is just I'm not going to say the defensive front seven for Alabama neither cost or won the game for Alabama. It wasn't necessarily a positive or a negative. It really was kind of right here. Okay. So kudos on that. That's the one thing where I was wrong, is they were able to hang in there. And they were that defensive front seven for Alabama. Now, what a game. I mean, it never fails to deliver, the Rose Bowl game. It's definitely must-watch TV each and every year. So moving forward, like I said, Michigan moves on to face Washington in the Natty Tattle game. Alabama goes home, but overall a great season for the Crimson Tide. 12-1 in the regular season. That loss coming against fellow college football playoff participant Texas, and this game. So going undefeated in the SEC, definitely a something to hang your hat on right there and say job well done. One hell of an accomplishment. But I said it and I'll say it again. The better team won this game, all right? Now, I'm not saying that if you have these two teams play 10 times, right, at a neutral site, I'm not going to say Michigan's going to win all 10. I mean, Alabama would win a few, but Michigan would win the majority of these games if they played 10 times. They would. They are and were the best team, all right? Other than that, that's really all I kind of need to say about this game. I mean, it was a great game to watch. I'm glad it ended up delivering as it always does. Please get involved. Comment below. Like, share, subscribe. Click that button. I want to find more college football fans just like you. I will be back. Definitely going to probably break out a Citrus Bowl reaction and recap episode. What a Debbie Downer bowl game that was for us Hawkeye fans, but we kind of expected it. Maybe not that bad, but it kind of went out as expected. And I absolutely will have a national championship game preview and prediction episode as well coming up here in the next 3 or 4 days, so definitely tune in. Catch me then. That's it. Go ahead and wrap it up there. Oh, yeah, and the question I had is, please, I want to hear from more Alabama fans, all right, and SEC fans all over. All right, it doesn't matter what your conference affiliation is or what your team of fandom is, but just let me know, all right? Why was it something that was so, like I said, it was almost blasphemy, something that was so not going to happen, no chance in hell, hell or high water. There's no way Michigan can beat Alabama. Is it because of how the Big Ten has really laid eggs recently? Is it because of the dominance of Alabama the last 15 years, or where the SEC has been compared to the Big Ten? I want to know why. Because I did not expect, my prediction, which comes completely objectively. I'm not a Michigan fan or a Big Ten homer. I just was really caught off guard by that. How that was just swallowed by Bama fans. I was really caught off guard. I want to know why. Just when it comes down to it, give me some reasons why. Get involved. I want to hear from you. So until next time, enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you soon on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Bye-bye.